Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
All right. Well, welcome back to KRA's The Hub podcast. We are excited for today's series of episodes. Myself and many of my KRA colleagues were at the recent Raising the Bar conference in Maryland. And just want to thank the Maryland Workforce Association for putting on this conference. It was a workforce conference that featured over 1,000 guests, 1,000 members, workforce development professionals, leaders, folks that work on the front lines. We also had the opportunity to meet many great vendors and organizations that are actually supporting the workforce development industry. I was joined by a series of episode recordings with my colleague, Derrick Colbert. Derrick, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan. It's good to be back with you.
You as well. And Derrick, we had the opportunity to talk with a lot of individuals. It ranged from folks that are working on the front lines, leaders of organizations, vendors that are providing services within workforce development. As we were a part of that, as you think back to the experience that we had there, what are some of the things that you think that our audience will be able to glean from these episodes?
Great question. As I reflect on the Raising the Bar workforce development conference, and just the series of folks that we had the opportunity to interview, I really feel like the audience truly going to enjoy this podcast series right here, because we heard from everyone that's offering services for returning citizens, a very robust conversation around that. The young lady that's a former KRA employee that's now working for employee Prince George's County that's doing some excellent work within the youth development space. Our former colleague John Hattery that's doing some dynamic work for WorkSource Montgomery as well, and others as well, such as Joseph Seymour, Mr. Walter Simmons, that really spoke about the collective impact that we need to have in workforce development. But for me, I'm gonna be a little bit biased. Just for me, it was awesome to really hear from Mr. Norton Atterbury, the founder and CEO here of KRA Corporation, and just to hear his journey, just to hear his insight on the state of workforce development, not only in the state of Maryland, but also this workforce development from a national perspective as well. So I really feel like the listening audience truly going to have an opportunity to hear from some dynamic individuals that's our trailblazers within the workforce development space. But please, I don't want to leave out, and I start calling names, I'm going to miss folks, but I don't want to leave out the conversation around the wholeness and the wellness of women in the workforce development space here as well. So just for the listening audience, I truly want you guys to sit back and just enjoy the ride that we're going to take you on as it relates to this particular podcast right here, because not for the sake of repeating myself, but it was some very dynamic conversations and some very robust conversations that came from out of this podcast series right here. So we have something for everyone. If you are a woman in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are an inspiring CEO in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are a workforce development professional that just starting your journey in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are trying to figure out how KRA have been able to grow leaders within the workforce development space, we have something for you as well. So we have something for everyone as it relates to your journey here in workforce development. And you are a business owner that's looking to hire workforce development individuals or our job seekers, we have something for you as well. So here again, we have a very robust conversation in from all different angles as it relates to workforce development and community economic development here. So that would be my takeaway.
Well, I appreciate that, Derrick, and I believe as well that our audience is going to enjoy these episodes. And again, we want to highlight that this is a series. So if you're catching us part 2 or part 3 of this series, make sure you go back and listen to some of the other episodes. But with that being said, at this time, we will transition to our episodes that we recorded at Raising the Bar in Maryland.
We are on location in Maryland at the Raising the Bar conference in Maryland as part of the Maryland Workforce Association. It's been a great event with a lot of great workshops, general sessions, and we've been having conversations, my colleague and co-host Derrick Colbert here with KRA, with some of the guests that are here in attendance, and some of them are former KRA employees. And so we're joined by a former KRA employee, Olivia Wilson, and she is now the coordinator of Youth Career Connections with Employ Prince George's County. Olivia, welcome to the Hub.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here today.
So we're going to talk about your journey in workforce, how you got to this point in your career, but tell us, what is it that you do? What is it that you specialize with at Employ Prince George's County?
So I actually am a subject matter expert in youth services. So at Employ Prince George's, I started out as a career coach. I've been a career coach for over 9.5 months. I just recently got promoted to coordinator of Youth Career Connections. So here we are at in-school youth program. So our main goal is to provide the career coaching services to the youth in schools all over Prince George's County. We are actually stationed in all the middle and high schools in Prince George's County, providing them career exploration, career coaching services, how to create their college and or career plan, and help guiding them to their future. So just making sure they have an achievable college or career plan and making sure that we kind of coach them along the way. And that's definitely what I focus on. That's my specialty, being a youth advocate and career coach.
Thank you for that, Olivia. As you are aware, we've been interviewing KRA alums throughout the whole entire day. And we are honored to have you a part of this podcast as well and being a part of the KRA alums as well. Can you, for the listening audience, can you please let them know how KRA has helped you along your career journey?
KRA has helped me in so many ways. I started out with KRA a couple of years ago, and I started on our Career Coach DC program as I was a career coach. So I was a career coach for a little over a year and a half, and I've learned and obtained so much knowledge from KRA. You guys opened the door for me to my new position with Employ Prince George's, where I started out as a career coach. I would say you guys taught me how to build rapport with customers and clients, how to just bridge the gap, the foundational gap, giving them the skills and resources that's needed so they can be self-sufficient in life. You guys also taught me how to network. So the conference that we're at today, I know how to engage with other stakeholders. I know how to, pass out my business cards and retain their information so we can collaborate or, be partners in the future. But you guys definitely set the foundation and taught me a lot of different skills that are on my resume that, got me into the position where I am today. So thank you guys.
Thank you. What made you want to get into this line of work?
What made me get into this line of work would have to be my community. My community, I would say, is not scared, but they don't go out into the world to retain this knowledge or these resources. So I like providing this information to my community, giving back to them. I love helping people. I am an empath. I love, spreading the wealth, spreading the knowledge. So being as though my community don't go out to these events and network, I want to be the one to step into these rooms, gain this information, and take it back to my community so they can be self-sufficient in life.
That's wonderful. Correct me if I'm wrong. You work with young people, correct?
I do.
What's the age range?
I work with in-school youth, so it is anywhere from 12 to 18. So I can be. Hold on, y'all gonna have to edit that out.
That's right.
I'm going to say 6th through 8th graders for middle school, and 9th through 12th graders for high schoolers. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's 12 years of age to 18 years old.
Okay. So thank you for that. So when you think about in the workforce development space, we often hear this, that young people are difficult to work with. As you've been someone that's working with young people in middle school and also high school as well, right? what has been your experience with working with young people, and how can you let the listening audience know how well, let me back up. You can edit that out. Let me back up. How can you dispel the myth that young people are hard to work with within this workforce development space?
That was a great question. To get rid of that myth, I would say, first, it's best to build rapport. I wouldn't say working with young people is a challenge. It's more so meeting them where they are, because our young adults, they have struggles and challenges just like adults. So they have mental health traumas, they have barriers, they have day-to-day life experiences. They may be in sports, so they don't know how to manage their time. So I would say the first thing that's important with our youth is building rapport. So I love the fact that we work in school, so they have a lot of different teachers that may be a little hard on them, like, hey, get to class, or hey, submit your work. It's really essential that I come in as a coach so I can guide them, to let them know how to manage their time, how to build those connections, how to make eye contact. But if you're dealing with so many different challenges and trauma, it's hard to do that for a 16-year-old, as I must per se. But honestly, I go in, I build these connections with them like they're a human being as they are, asking them what's going on, how can I help you alleviate these barriers? Because my main focus as a career coach is to help them tackle those barriers. So next I can coach and they can focus on their college and or career plan.
That's awesome work that you're doing. When you think about the work that you have done thus far and the impact that you are making within your community, how would you define success as it relates to the work that you are currently doing?
That's an amazing question, actually. I would define success, I'm not going to drag it out. I would define success as helping someone, showing up and giving them the resources that's needed so they can be self-sufficient. So also guiding them. So one thing in coaching that I do not do the work for my team or my students. I give them the foundation and the resources necessary so they can go out tomorrow and know how to do the same thing. For instance, I can say resume writing. So a lot of customers come to me and ask me, I need help with my resume. Can you help me with my resume? I can help you with your resume, but I will assist you. I will guide you. I will let you know which platform to use, which font to use, and also how to, plan and graph it so it looks professional on the other end when somebody's viewing your resume. So I would say defining success would just be really coaching someone, helping them, so they can go out in the world today and or tomorrow and be sufficient.
Thank you for that. My final question to you is, when you think about your career journey and when you think about your future here in the workforce development space, in the next 5 years, where would you like to see yourself at in the next 5 years or the next 5 to 10 years as it relates to your professional journey?
That's an amazing question. I love this question, actually. In the next 5 to 10 years, I would still like to do what I'm doing now, but better. I would love to still be providing these resources and assistance to my community, going out to these community events, engaging my knowledge and skill sets so I can be confident in the work that I'm doing. But I would love to just continue to give back to my community. There's a lot of people in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, actually all over the world, that has barriers or that face day-to-day challenges. So if I can alleviate that a little bit by doing food and clothes drives, back-to-school drives, just pop-up events where as though I'm giving them resources and knowledge with QR codes so they can literally just scan it and get the information and go. Say, for instance, some people have a lot of different things in lives where they cannot attend these events. So just providing them that information in a beneficial way is something that I see myself continuously doing. I am a nerd at heart, so I love doing different trainings. I love school. I love learning, and I love being coachable because, hey, Olivia Wilson don't know it all, but one day I will. It's great to be coachable and trainable so you can get the skill sets that you need so you can empower the next person, whether it's a colleague, whether it's someone on the street, whether it's a family member, a friend, it doesn't matter. But I love just learning different things so I can be great at what I do and provide these resources to my community.
Olivia, earlier we talked about Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which
Yes.
is a program designed to enhance the education system and with specific outcomes. Can you share with us how the work that you're doing, I know that there's a strategy of engaging the schools and students in the schools. Share with us how your work connects to the Blueprint for Maryland's Future.
So our work actually connects hand in hand with the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. So we are actually collaborating with Prince George's County public school staff members. So they're basically our business partner and our stakeholders. So as a whole, as a collective, we are providing and connecting these students to employment opportunities. We're giving them career coaching and career exploration opportunities. So we go out and we do different hands-on field trips with the students. We host workshops for the families and the students where as though they can get this information and be self-sufficient. But I would say honestly how it connects as a whole is just showing up in these schools, providing and guiding the students. So when they graduate, they can have all the information that's needed for college, for their career, for their families. Say for instance, if we have young parents, they can know how to survive in Prince George's County. So we're definitely giving them information also about the labor market so they can know what type of job they want to go out and explore, how they can receive a good amount of a salary so they can not depend on anyone, depend on themselves. So it goes collectively as a whole. We basically just show up for these students, give them the information. We want to make sure when they graduate, they're able to get a job and retain that job. So we're definitely just giving them all the knowledge that's needed. So once they graduate, that will be sufficient.
That's great. As you look back on your stint in this role and even previous, what are some of the highlights or some of the things that you look back on fondly?
That's a great question. I always find myself looking back on my previous jobs, my current jobs, and I would just say I allow my personality to shine at these jobs. I show up, I introduce myself always with a smile, and I show out. But something that always pinpoints me to workforce development would be my community, showing up for them, having them come back with a success story saying, Ms. Wilson, you helped me so much. I was able to get this job. I received a promotion. I received these credentials. But just having my customers come back to me and say, wow, you helped me. And me being able to use them as a success story, like, wow, my customer was able to get a job. My customer was able to get enrolled into school for free. My customer was able to get their first house as a first-time home buyer. So them coming back to me, letting me know how much I helped them and I believed in them and empowered them to success is what keeps me going.
That's wonderful. Well, yeah. Olivia, it's been great to get a chance to know you and reconnect.
Thank you.
Your story and your journey of what you're currently doing. And we're excited for your future as well. We talk about the future of Maryland through Blueprint, but your role in that and in workforce development. So thank you for taking the time today at this conference. I know there's a lot happening, but to carve out some time to have this conversation with us. So thank you for that.
Thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it. I'm honored to actually come back with KRA and be on you guys' podcast. I am definitely proud of the work that you guys have been doing. So from a career coach, a former career coach, as a now coordinator, you guys empowered me so much, and I know a lot of my old colleagues feel the same way. So keep up the great work. I would love to collaborate with you guys in the future with Employee Prince George's because we are both nonprofit organizations that do the same thing. But I'm honored. I'm grateful, so thank you.
We are back here at Raising the Bar here in Maryland, Hanover, Maryland. This is day 2 of the conference, and conferences like this are great. It's an opportunity to catch up with new faces, familiar faces, and we're currently going through a series meeting with former KRA employees, alumni of KRA, and having conversations about what are they doing now. We're getting caught up. We're also talking about their career journey and how they got to this point in workforce development. So I'm joined by my co-host, Derrick Colbert, and a special guest today, Ernestine Chambers. She is the Director of Performance and Compliance with WorkSource Montgomery. Welcome, Derrick. Welcome, Ernestine.
Thank you.
Ernestine, again, as I said earlier, it's an opportunity for us to get caught up with employees that used to work with KRA. Tell us, what are you doing now with WorkSource Montgomery? And then also tell us a little bit about your consulting business that you also have on the side?
Sure. So at WorkSource Montgomery, I do performance and compliance, which pretty much means that I oversee all of our federal, local, and state legislations, incorporating policies and making sure the company strategically stay in alignment with what those performance measures and goals are for our clients and the state and federal government alike. Boring to most people, but I love data. And because I come from the programming side, when I do data, unlike a lot of people who work in performance and compliance, they just see numbers. I actually see people do the numbers. I always call it like the metrics. So I can tell you exactly what strategies we need to put into place in order to get the numbers to align based on how we serve as human beings, right? So I don't see numbers. I see people through the numbers. And just sticking on the people component, my training organization is called Upskill, etc. And the whole concept is planting a seed and making it grow within humans, right? Building human capital, which is the biggest and most important capacity that we can build in this country. And so what we do is we partner with corporations, human resource departments, and we take a portion of the allocated funds for professional development to make sure that the workforce within their organizations have the ability to scale up. So we're not constantly bringing external experts in, but more so creating a pipeline of experts within the existing workforce.
That's great work, Ernestine. As someone that's been in the workforce development industry for about 13, 14 years here now, what made you get into workforce development? And also, how did KRA help you or prepare you for what you're currently doing today?
Oh, yeah. So, one, I don't want to sound cliche because you've probably heard this more than one time. Everyone falls into workforce development. It's like a huge hole. You're walking down the street, and next thing you know, you're a workforce development professional, right? In my case, 13 years ago, I gave birth to my daughter and ended up laid off from work. We had a couple of surgeries in that 1 year, and it just set us back, right? And at the time that I found KRA, I was a Baltimore City resident. Just recently had a car repossessed, lost my home in Philadelphia, and I had to come back home to my mom with my child, who was a newborn, and then I started the KRA work program in Baltimore City. I remember sitting in there the very first day, and they started talking about the program, and I was a social worker and political science major. I had 2 degrees at that time, and I looked, and I'm like, I could do this. And I remember going to the operations manager at the time, and I said, I know you have a case manager position available. I would like to apply. And then I interviewed with Nate Gordon at the time, and I got offered the position with KRA. I'm just going to say how I became affluent through KRA is that when I came in, I loved the fact that we were on a performance-based project because my entire life has been based on who can be the best, and I'm very competitive. And so for the Baltimore site, we began to knock performance out the park, right? 80% work participation rate. We're getting job placements, and we did it through building relationships with people and replicating the models that we did across KRA. And then I got invited to Leadership Edge. And because I did the Leadership Edge program, which I was the MVP for my class because I'm very competitive.
Congratulations.
And had the best proposal, just through Leadership Edge, KRA poured in the knowledge of workforce development across the country. I learned how to write proposals. I learned how to sit on pitching. I learned how to bid on contracts. I learned how to, like everything workforce development from WIOA to TANF, I learned through Leadership Edge, and then I would go back immediately and apply it in Baltimore. Then in 2016, alongside the founder of KRA, Mr. Atterbury, which is a huge honor for me, I received the Jody Spiegel Customer Service Award with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, and he received the Leadership Award that year. And from there, it was up, right? Workforce professionals from everywhere was reaching out to me. I went along in my career to actually work for the federal government, working directly in HUD, overseeing $60 billion projects in redevelopment, neighborhood development, human capital planning, job placement, which is a gap in the federal government. Even though Department of Labor plays a huge part in employment, the other components of the federal government don't necessarily have that same level of commitment So as far as employment, so that was vital for me. And then Anthony reached out and said, hey, we really need someone to come into Montgomery County and check out this data and just tell the story. And so I said, you know what? I remember you from KRA. And KRA breeds a strong workforce. And so that's what I did. I went to support Anthony. And my only commitment was that I'm able to continue to thrive and uplift other people and pour into other organizations through upskill. And so because that was the agreement, we were able to work together.
Thank you for that. A very impressive journey. When I'm sitting here and listen to your journey, thoughts come to my mind about how the new workforce development professionals that's moving into this workforce development industry space really need to understand how to capitalize on the opportunities when they are presented to them. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that you truly understood exactly what were the opportunities, and you understood how to capitalize on them as well. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind elaborating a little bit more and just letting the listening audience know, what are the most important things when you think about workforce development professionals, mm-hmm. when you think about the opportunities that's presented to us? What message would you give to the actual new workforce development professionals on how to truly capitalize on the opportunities?
Yeah, so for branding purposes, KRA today is innovative, exceptional, and trusted, right? And I remember when that launched. I was there during that big campaign. But when I started KRA, it was knowledge, responsibility, and achievement at that time. And so if I had to give any advice, it's just the original KRA mantra: knowledge, seek the information. You don't have to wait for supervisors and managers to educate you. You don't have to sit around and say, oh, well, no one trained me. One of the things that I did was I took the initiative and I read legislations, I read policies, I read procedures. It's all available. And then I began to apply them, right? Why? Because it was my responsibility to achieve. And achievement is not something that you claim. It's something that people acknowledge about you. It's not, no one says you're a GOAT. I'm a GOAT. No, people say you are the GOAT. It's a difference. And so when you begin to achieve certain levels of growth and progress and expertise within your industry, people are going to acknowledge that yourself. And so the KRA original model stuck with me my entire life with everything, even how I raised my kids. Like, you need to be in the know. You need to be responsible for what you know, and then you need to excel. You need to achieve. And the results, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. That's why I like data. It's very black and white.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I heard several things, and one of the most important things was you dropped some major nuggets. One of the things I truly want to highlight is when you said you like to develop human capital. Mm-hmm. When you think about human capital within the workforce development space, and when we think about some of the times the stigma that comes along with individuals that's a part of the TANF program, mm-hmm. or individuals, the dislocated workers, or the young people, and you are the data person, but you have made your, for lack of a better term, your bones within the programmatic space as well. How did you define success within the programmatic space? But also, how did you truly get the human capital to believe in themselves, and not only that, but also get the actual businesses to believe in the human capital?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I hate to make it sound so simple. It comes down to relationship. Right? I didn't look at a person like, oh, you're a TANF recipient, or you're unemployed, or you are a WIOA recipient. Your income didn't define you being a person, right? And so because I developed relationship with every person I touch, whether you were a participant or an employer or my employees, right, that relationship begins to create leverage where people say, I'm going to do well in this interview because Ms. Chambers gave me this opportunity, or because KRA gave me this opportunity. Or businesses say, I never hired a person who came from 20 years of prison, but if you say I need to do it, I'm going to do it. And if it fails, it's on you. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to set you up for failure. Let's do it. Relationship is how we maneuver everything, right? And the farther we get away from developing intimacy with people, we get away from getting results when it comes to people, right? And so really the most important thing is to recognize what's your why, and then how can you be authentic in your relationship. So I never lie in the sense of like, oh, this person can do something they can't. I have enough relationship with that person to say, how are you going to show up on a job and you're not showing up here? How are you going to do this when you haven't managed your child care issues today? And because of relationship, they're like, you know what, you're right. Let me get that in order. And yeah, let us get that in order. And then once we do that, we can get to the next step. But we can't just jump to the next step because you'll find yourself right back here. And my goal is for you not to come back.
Ernestine, you mentioned Leadership Edge and your experiences there, many of the things that were learned during that time. Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned the values that were instilled from KRA: knowledge, responsibility, achievement, innovative, trusted, and exceptional. What would you say are some of the skills, maybe one or two skills that really are highlighted to you that you learned, that you really adopted and put into practice, and that are still with you today in the work that you're doing?
So, data. The idea of actually measuring impact through numbers, right? KRA was my first time ever seeing a cost to complete, right? And really looking at budgets and realizing that efforts end up with actual results, and the type of efforts we do today could deter what type of results we get tomorrow. And so in every component of my life, I instill data, performance outcomes, right? Because there's a level of accountability. And KRA always was about, we're going to be the best. We're going to be suited and booted, right? We're going to be the best, but we're going to be accountable. We're going to get results.
That's great. At this year's conference, Raising the Bar, I know there are a lot of influential leaders in workforce development, folks on the front line that are doing great work. How has this experience been this year, being at Raising the Bar? Are there any themes or anything that has really been highlighted to you or stuck out at this year's conference?
I said it yesterday at the leadership happy hour. One of the things that really stood out to me about this conference and what I'm noticing each year is every year is elevated. The experience is continually growing and expanding, just from automated check-in to the facilitators that's presenting. When you come to a conference and you've been in workforce as long as I have, and I'm a baby to a lot of people here, you want to be enthused about showing up. And I'm so happy that Maryland is being put on a map in a way that is influential and is showing advancement each year. Can't wait till next year, actually.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Ernestine, I want to thank you for your time today. Very insightful and a lot of great nuggets for our audience of your journey and how you have got to the place where you are now in workforce development. Excited for what's to come as well. How can individuals learn more about the work that you're doing and even get in contact with you about some of the training and development that you are doing through your company?
Oh, yeah. I think the easiest way is upskill.com. And it's pretty simple. Or you can always follow Ernestine_Chambers on Instagram.
All right. Well, thank you, Ernestine. Thank you, Derrick.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
All right, we are back here at KRA's The Hub podcast. We are here in Maryland at the Raising the Bar conference. We're having conversations with leaders, influencers within workforce development, and today we're also being joined by several former employees of KRA who have gone on to do work in the Maryland region. And today we're joined by John Hattery. He is the Deputy Director of Career Education Services for WorkSource Montgomery. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Derrick Colbert, here at KRA. Welcome, John, Derrick.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good. It's good to see you. Great to catch up. That's one thing I love about conferences is catching up with people. Workforce development is a very small world, so you can't go very far. But when you come back to a place like this, it's great to see new faces and familiar faces. So, John, what are you doing these days? Tell us, what is your role with WorkSource Montgomery as the Director of Career Education Services?
Well, I am barely a workforce professional any longer, Jonathan. The state of Maryland passed a law, the blueprint for Maryland's future, in which they mandated that the workforce development entities would partner with their local school systems and their local community colleges to deliver career coaching to all the 6th and 12th graders in their jurisdiction. And when that started to kind of bubble up, Anthony and I had a conversation. At the time, I was running the WIOA side of the house. And we had a number of conversations, and finally, the joke is he got me on Bourbon Street about 1.5 years ago and asked me again, and I said yes. Now, that's the joke. Mm-hmm. The truth is that I've been leading our part of the planning with the partnership and had been falling in love with this work, this new way for workforce development to have an impact in schools. It's really kind of a paradigm shift over the last, most of my career. There was a sort of a gentleman's agreement amongst the cabinet secretaries at the federal level, where the education folks would take care of in-school youth and labor would work with out-of-school youth. And with some exceptions, you know, that separation has been maintained. The Maryland legislature in the law sort of threw that paradigm out, and so now workforce development is now, at least in our case, an integral partner in the delivery of education services at K-12 level. So I'm supporting our 50 career coaches and 6 managers and 3 business-facing folks, and supporting some of the back of the house folks that we had to bring on board to make sure that the operation ran on time. I've got a couple of directors that support me as well in the training department. So it's a robust effort, and I've been enjoying every minute of it.
That's great.
Thank you for that, John. It sounds like you're doing some very dynamic work over there at WorkSource Montgomery. We here at the KRA, the Hub podcast. So my question to you is, can you tell the listening audience about your career journey and how did KRA really prepare you for your career journey as well within the workforce development industry?
Wow. Derrick, I'm old, and so my career journey goes back a while, and KRA is an important piece of it. I started in juvenile justice here in Maryland, worked at some group homes and some larger facilities. I came to the realization that no matter how hard the young people worked who were in our care at the time on things like victim awareness and anger management and all those kinds of things, that we were not setting them up for success as it related to having some sort of economic hook to hang their hat on when they left. And so no matter how committed they were, no matter how hard they worked with us, I realized that if we didn't give them the skills to survive economically, we were just setting them up to come back, which was, you know, that story was replayed and replayed. And then I had an opportunity to participate in a grant, Home Builders Institute got a grant from the U.S. Department of Labor to pilot construction training program for young people who were involved with the juvenile justice system. And I thought that I would throw my hat in the ring and hang out there, do a good job on their program for 6 months, and then come back and go back to the original provider I was working for at a higher level, right? I was going to do this little hop, skip, and a jump thing. Well, I figured it would take me 6 months, and it took 18 years for me to leave HBI, almost 20 years to leave HBI, where I ran these construction training programs all over the country. From there, where I think I started to meet KRA and first understood where KRA was in the landscape of workforce development, I was deputy director for the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals. I did that for a few years, and it was during that time where I got to know Don Scott, a former KRAer who happens to be the Speaker of the House of Delegates in Virginia these days. And Don and I got to know each other. It became apparent that he was getting ready to move on. He and I had some conversations. The time had come for me to start looking for what was next for my career. And I met Mr. Atterbury and had some conversations and went to work for KRA. From KRA, I did some consulting for a while, and then Anthony Featherstone, another former KRAer, became the executive director at WorkSource Montgomery, and it wasn't too long after that he asked me to come on and do some strategic stuff for him, and then that morphed into running the WIOA stuff, which morphed into my current role. But the thing I appreciate the most about my KRA experience is really getting a view of what it's like to be a private provider in the workforce area. I mean, I had been for a nonprofit, KRA is not, and so that added a valuable filter or a valuable piece of experience as I navigated the workforce world. But certainly the thing I appreciate the most, to be honest with you, and at every stop in my journey, has been the networking and it's been the relationships, right? So, Joseph Seymour and I have had chances to work together, seeing you guys. Jonathan, I have this really clear memory of your first NODUP conference after when I was working at KRA. And you and I were just kind of walking the halls, and I found myself a little place to sit, and you were sitting next to me, and we were just talking about things. And there was like this parade of people who would come by because they knew me and I knew them, and we were greeting each other. And I remember just like every time you would stop and look, and it's like there's more people who are coming to stop. But I mean, that's really, so the opportunity to be with you, to have a nice warm relationship still with Mr. Atterbury, to work with Anthony, to work with Ernestine, to work with Nate Gordon. I mean, these are rock stars who really learn their craft in many cases at KRA. And for whatever reason, we've all kind of gone off to other things and have regathered at different spots and really been able to turn in some good work. Again, based on many of the lessons learned while we were wearing the KRA lapel pin.
That's great. I remember that time as well. I think that was New Orleans, 2017. We connected.
Oh no, it was Orlando.
Or was it Orlando? Okay.
It was Orlando.
Yeah. So, but in workforce development, skill development is so important for the folks that we work with, and that's part of what you're doing today, and has probably been a part of your career. But when it comes to our own personal and professional growth, looking back on those skills that we developed over time are also integral in our career journey. When you look at what you're doing today and look back on your career prior to KRA, during your experience here, what were some of those skills that you developed that are directly contributing towards the work that you're doing today?
Wow, that's a big question, because I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of really smart people, and I was smart enough to listen, believe it or not, despite my reputation sometimes. But let's see, I mean, going all the way back to one of my first jobs is I had a mentor who really taught me what it was like to be collaborative, but also taught me the difference, in his management role. He taught me the difference between times where you needed to collaborate, you needed to reach out, needed to make sure everybody had a voice to do this thing better, and times when as a leader you have to say, well, you know what, as a leader I know what this is, and this needs to be this way. This has to be the decision for the good of the company, good of the program, whatever it is. So some of those feedback skills, I mean, you've sat through my feedback workshops as Derrick. Others have had the misfortune of having to sit through it over the years. But I really believe that. It's sort of old-fashioned, but especially in these days now where people can say anything they want, anyhow they want, anonymously, I don't find that to be helpful in a professional setting. I don't find that to be helpful in almost any setting. And so really trying to emphasize with my new team, many of whom are starting out in their careers, the importance of understanding how to relate to people, even when you disagree. Because there are times when you and I could look at the exact same situation and we have differing opinions. That's a conflict, right? But the difference between an organization that is healthy versus one that isn't healthy is not the absence of conflict, but it's the ability to resolve it effectively, to understand that we're going to come together for a common goal and that there are going to be differing opinions, and somebody's going to have to give a little, and the course is going to change, but always making sure that your team has this central vision about what's next, what we're trying to achieve. And that was certainly evident at KRA. It was certainly evident, and it's something that we've tried to make one of our foundational principles at WorkSource Montgomery. And so I think, if anything, it's the ability that to connect with people, to listen, to not pretend like you know every damn thing, but also to be confident in the things that you are, in your values and in what you do believe in, and being able to communicate that in a way that brings people together rather than separates them.
That's great. Thank you for that. And now that we're here at Raising the Bar, are there any final thoughts that perhaps they're maybe shaped by the theme here, a lot of conversations in the main general sessions, but any takeaways and final thoughts for our audience as we close out today's conversation?
Well, I mean, that's another really broad question. So I think if you listen to Walter's presentation this morning, I mean, essentially what he was saying is that no good program exists in a vacuum, right? And that for us to be effective as a system, we have to reach out and across the aisles, to really build systems. It's one of the things I've really appreciated about going all the way back and doing work on the local level in Montgomery County is watching Anthony kind of navigate that whole system, being able to pull new partners in, developing the community asset map so people could understand where they could get services, really regaining the trust. I mean, we might as well say it out loud. I think everybody knows it. WorkSource Montgomery 3 years ago, before Anthony came on board and he started gathering a team, was one of the laughingstocks of workforce in the state and to an extent the country. And that was well earned. Let's not sugarcoat it. Things were not good in Montgomery County. But his focus when he walked in the door was regaining the trust of the stakeholders, the elected officials, and the communities. And he put things in place to make sure that he could be accessible and build that trust. So we weren't operating in a vacuum. And any success that we've had in our blueprint programming is really kind of been built off of that foundation of building partnerships and operating as a partner and being an effective change agent for the system and an effective facilitator for the system in the county. And so that's a story as old as time, right? That's a story as old as time, being able to partner. And the other thing is, and what people tend to forget sometimes, that on the WIOA side of the house, the workforce side of the house, this at the end of the day is a binary situation. Did you get the person a job or didn't you? Unfortunately, too many workforce organizations, boards, providers, whoever, get wrapped up in how many interviews they got and how many resumes they did and how many workshops they delivered and all this other stuff. And all that builds to, did you get them a job or didn't you? And if we can keep our eye on that vision in the spirit of partnership, I think any workforce system thrives. And that was one of the things your buddy and current colleague, Patrick Boxall, right? You love Patrick. Did we perform or didn't we? Did we do the job? Didn't we? Did we, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, it boils down to placement. And that's why I appreciate workforce development so much, because the binary is, did you get them a job or not? And if the answer is yes, all the wonderful things that happen just based off the fact that you were able to give somebody an opportunity to start a career, to give themselves economic stability, to be able to take care of their family, maybe get their kids educated. I mean, all the wonderful things that can happen just off of that little thing, off of did we get them a job or didn't we? So as workforce professionals, it's in my view, this is John's view, vitally important that we focus on the reason that we exist. For that, did we get somebody employed or reemployed or upgrade their employment, whatever you want to say? Did we do that? Everything else builds off of that, and everything else should build off of that. Partnerships are an important piece with business, with industry, with providers, stakeholders, whoever. But at the end of the day, on the WIOA side, here, now on the side that I'm at now, the exciting thing and what has excited me is that we get to take 6th through 12th graders, and in Montgomery County, it's 87,000 of them. And we get to take them and help them and facilitate to an understanding of what type of career really speaks to them. We use the RISEC code as our foundational language. We overlay opportunities for them to examine their own strengths, their own interests, their own values. They get to understand a little bit about themselves. We give them some experiential kind of opportunities so they can test out some of these theories. And then by the time they get to 12th grade, the theory is, the program design is that when they walk into their college and career counselor, they can make an informed decision based on what they know works for them rather than what their uncle told them or their parents told them. And so that's our whole goal. So I started out by saying I'm barely a workforce professional any longer, but I'm having a ball and a blast with this new challenge and this new program design.
That's great, John. Today was a wonderful conversation, just a wealth of knowledge and insight, and wonderful to see how the intersection of your experiences along the way, your journey has brought you to this point. And it's exciting to hear what you're currently doing in WorkSource Montgomery. So thank you for your time today. It was great to reconnect with you after a few years.
It's good to be with you guys, too.
And look forward to next year's conference and continue to follow the great work that you guys are doing in Montgomery County.
All right.
Thank you.
It was great being with you guys. Take care.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.